rolling.
Fratelloni's Hardware and Garden Stores brings you Garage Logic Podcast number 1448, December 18th, 2024. 55 degrees was the high on this day in 1923. And boy, when they woke up on the morning of this day and this date.
What?
Okay, Frankie.
In 1983,
This is the sound of people waking up.
on this morning, it was 24 below.
Hail the flashlight king.
And now, from the mayor's office above the boathouse on the east shore of Spoon Lake, it's Garage Logic with Chris Reavers manning Technology Corner, Kenny Olson from the Krabby Coffee Shop, John Haidt in the newsroom, and of course, the rookie. Here is your flashlight king, fireworks commissioner, and the keeper of common sense, your mayor, Joe Souchere.
Are you going to use that mouth the whole show or no?
Before I get to something I think you'll all enjoy as you're gathered around the hot stove, you're really going to like this. I first have to say that I got a great email from, looks like Brent, who writes, after hearing how the Satanic Shrine filled you with pride to be a Minnesotan, I decided to take a look for myself. This is written this morning at 9:41 a.m. Feeling rookie-like, I stopped off at a local boulangerie.
Boulangerie?
Yeah, before making the long trek from street parking up those fateful stairs that scared away the staff. And sure enough, there were tent folk pining for my pockets, but they were easily enough outwitted. Croissant in hand, I strolled up the Capitol. I'm not sure I had been there in any meaningful way since I was a kid, way back when gasoline was red and it smelled good because it had lead in it. There were two characters outside spraying the steps with some sort of liquid, perhaps on some sort of work release program from the look of it. What was missing was the grand statue of Christopher Columbus that was torn down in a sanctioned rage a few short years ago. Interesting to think under DFL leadership we've reached a point where Christopher Columbus cannot be tolerated, but Lucifer himself is celebrated. With sadness in my heart, I marched on. Opening those heavy doors to the front, it was easy to enjoy the marble interiors, carved benches, and grand portraits. Sad to see the words Attorney General and Governor plastered outside grand offices. And think about who occupies those offices now. The Grand Capitol was eerily vacant. That's what I encountered. One or two cleaning staff scuttled about on different floors, peering at me as if to alert their masters an intruder had arrived, but nobody approached me. The ample-sized but still somehow disappointing Christmas tree that seemed to be a little more than an advertisement was on display off to the side of the main rotunda. That is accurate. Just 30 paces away, yes, I counted them, what was left of the shrine to Satan. That's how close the symbols of good and evil were to each other within the state capital of Minnesota, 30 paces. It's sad to think that these marble-clad floors and walls that hang grand portraits of the likes of Pillsbury and Ramsey and many others now share space with a satanic shrine enabled by the DFL. To my surprise, however, the satanic phoenix was missing. From the pictures I saw online, it looked like something that a fifth grader might have hastily put together, but hearing how it filled you with such pride, I was looking forward to a similar sensation. It appears the presence of Garage Logic may have exorcised at least one evil from the state of Minnesota. Only the childlike mobile, or is it mobile, and a placard that read, "This display is temporarily unavailable," remained. I noticed this room shared a statue with someone named Nellie Stone Johnson. The always reliable Wikipedia tells me that she had connections to the Communist Party for many years and mentored DFLers. Perhaps she wouldn't have minded. And just so you don't think I'm pulling a Kenny, I have attached a few pictures of the vacant spot and related topics of Brent. Thank you. And he did send pictures. The display is gone. The only thing left is...
the display is back.
Already?
It was knocked over last evening, apparently, and that's why the sign's saying temporarily removed, and now it is back up.
So, thank God.
Yeah.
Because that represents Minnesota.
I figured you'd be happy to hear that.
I'm very happy. And I hope it wasn't knocked over in any sort of huff.
I believe it was, but
Really?
well, that's just hinted at in the story I'm looking at.
I
But,
see.
somebody who didn't like it, apparently.
So somebody had a little Elmer's glue and just patched you right back up.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Almost like the leg lamp. You know, when
Yeah.
he tries to put it back together.
Oh, yeah. Tape and glue.
I would rather have a leg lamp mounted there.
That would be cool.
Oh, have you
symbol.
driven by the Summit address? Is that still up?
I don't know.
I forget to look at
Joe, it's a major award.
It is.
It is.
the Tinty household.
Courtesy of an emailer, I have now become aware of a woman named Kemi Badenoch. Kemi is short for
Camille?
her Nigerian name, which would be Olukemi Olufunto Adegoke Badenoch. She is a British politician who has served as leader of the opposition and leader of the Conservative Party just for about the last 2 months. She's the first, I guess they count first in England too. She's the first black person to hold those offices. Badenoch previously served in the cabinet under Liz Truss and Rishi Sunak from 2022 to 2024. She's been a member of Parliament for Northwest Sussex, previously Saffron Walden, since 2017. And she's being interviewed here by Barry Weiss. Barry Weiss was an editorialist for the New York Times who saw the light. She saw what was happening at the New York Times, and she left, and she started her own, what's the word, Substack?
Yes.
Yeah.
Of like-minded thinkers and good thinkers. And Barry Weiss, unbeknownst to me, interviewed a woman who was unbeknownst to me, Kemi Badenoch. You'd swear she'd been sitting in this. You'd swear she's been in the town of Garage Logic. It's such a delightful ray of hope. I'm in love with this woman, by the way. I'm going to London.
Okay.
I'm leaving home on Christmas morning with a half pack of cigarettes and not even a full tank of gas.
That's a Tom Waits song.
Is the CP going to try to see how you can live on $800?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In her acceptance speech to lead the Conservatives, Badenoch vowed to renew the Conservative Party, setting out her belief that the Conservatives had two responsibilities: to hold this Labour government to account and to prepare over the course of the next few years for government. She became the first black leader of any major UK political party and the fourth woman to lead the Conservative Party. Her political views are incredible. She's a devotee of Thomas Sowell. During her parliamentary maiden speech in 2017, Badenoch named Winston Churchill, Ariel Neve, and Margaret Thatcher as her political heroes. She's also been characterized as a social conservative and anti-woke politician. She has described herself as a net zero skeptic and has generally voted against measures to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. I think this is important to set all this up for you. During a House of Commons debate in April of 21, Badenoch criticized the Labour Party's response to a report compiled by the Commission on Race and Ethnic Disparities that had declared Britain was not institutionally racist. Labour had described the report as cherry-picking of data, while the party's former frontbench MP, Dawn Butler, claimed the report was gaslighting on a national scale. Badenoch accused Labour of willful misrepresentations over the report and responded to Butler's comments by stating, "It is wrong to accuse those who argue for a different approach as being racism deniers or race traitors. It's even more irresponsible, dangerously so, to call ethnic minority people racial slurs like Uncle Tom's, coconuts, house slaves, or house Negroes for daring to think differently." I read a lot about her when it comes to colonization and imperialism. She said, yeah, well, before they arrived, nobody had any rights,
Okay.
which is a good way to look at it, different way to look at it. I don't know in what context Barry Weiss is interviewing Kemi Badenoch, but I hope you find it as lovely as I did.
You have been very outspoken against DEI, which is diversity, equity, and inclusion, but of course means actually something very different, as well as CRT. It's an alphabet soup, critical race theory. And people have called you a race traitor for opposing these things. They say, why are you focusing on being a culture warrior? You should focus on economics, taxes, immigration, kitchen table issues. Why is this so important to you? Why is this a hill worth dying on?
It is so important. And you know, one of the reasons why I don't like the term woke is because I think it disguises just how bad this stuff is. This is civilization ending philosophy,
Woke is.
where really bad ideas are being smuggled in under the guise of civil rights and so on. But also with something like, you know, the attacks of being a race traitor, those don't bother me. I grew up in a place where everybody looked like me. And I don't need people who have only had the minority experience to tell me what it means to be black. A lot of the things that we use to define people are awful stereotypes, you know, so they take a very distorted view of what black is. Black is you listen to this type of music, you dress in this way, you study these courses, you have these political views, and we have created what a black person is. And if you don't fit into that box, it doesn't, you're not real. This is destroying the identities of hundreds of millions of people who have different ethnicities. They're all black, different cultures, different languages, and just throwing all of that away to create this really bland stereotype. The same thing with Islam and Islamic countries. There's so many different groups, and then all of that is thrown away for this identikit sort of Islamic identity of you are pro-Palestine, you are anti-Israel, you will only eat halal, this is how you dress, and you don't like the way Western people behave. We must stop putting people in these boxes. Critical race theory is an enabler of putting people into boxes. We did so much to get rid of stereotypes, and now the stereotypes are coming back, except now they're coming back as a norm to be enforced rather than something to be laughed at. And it matters because if you are a black child in a school and people tell you that this is how to be black, you know, why are you wearing glasses? You're being a swot, you're being a nerd. That's not what you should be doing. We start taking away opportunity and options away from young people. They feel that they have to conform and not conform to a high standard, which is how things used to be, but conforming to a low standard. This is life destroying. So
You realize what she just said. We'll pick it up again. You realize what she just said.
Less than.
The Mysterians are making black children less than by forcing them to conform to what the Mysterians want them to conform to. Pick it up again.
I hate critical race theory, and I remember I had a very interesting experience with this woman called Kimberly Crenshaw, who apparently is the queen of this stuff. I had no idea who she was. It was 2018.
She is the legal theorist who created critical race
So
theory.
I had no idea. I was speaking at a festival in 2018, and I just talked about me, and I could tell she'd never met anyone like me before. So she couldn't.
Were you guys like on the panel?
Yeah, we were
together?
on the panel, and she couldn't out-black me. I was like, look, I come from like the place where all the black people come from. This is not what we're like. People have different political views. They have different identities. And she was trying to squeeze people into this sort of minority identity. And I kept challenging her. And at the end of it, she, at the end of the panel, she came over to me and told me that I was disrespectful. And I said, why am I disrespectful? She said, you haven't read my books, and you shouldn't talk about these things until you've read my books. I thought, what a load of nonsense. You know, you can write a book about astrology. It doesn't mean the horoscopes are real. Like just this writing rubbish and thinking that because you've written a book, it's fine. And I was very pleased that I took such a hard line at the time, because I think maybe if I'd known who she was, I might have been in a different mindset and thought, oh, well, you know, let me give her some space. But I didn't, and I was just very honest. And she got a lot of facts wrong as well. Loads and loads of terrible facts. So I am an enemy of critical race theory. It is not real equality. It is not even promoting the well-being of minorities. It is a way for the left to exploit minorities in order to do the thing they always want to do, which is the same socialism, Marxism, fighting the right. And it kills people. It destroys lives.
Okay, I'm leaving. I'm going to London.
Yeah. I can
We're going to
see
get
how
a
you-
little flat
I
together.
can see how you fancied her, yes.
We're going to get a little flat. She was born in Wimbledon, but spent a lot of time in the U.S. Her mother came to England so she could be born
Yeah, what is
in
that?
London for citizenship. I think that's changed now.
How about the line,
Then
though-
she went back to Nigeria, but
Yep.
then since Nigeria, her mom's a some kind of doctor, and her dad's
Physical therapist.
Yeah, and her dad's an activist, and then they lived in the U.S. and she's been and then was raised in Wimbledon, and it's so pleasing to realize there are still people like her who are thinking correctly.
But how about the fact that she had to defend herself? Listen, you're not going to out-black me.
Can't out-black me, baby.
This is where I came
I'm
from.
from Nigeria, Lagos.
This Kimberly Crenshaw she mentions, very interesting character. I'm reading about her now.
Is she white?
No, she's a black lady, a American civil rights advocate, scholar of critical race theory, professor at UCLA
What
School of
else?
Law and
Failed
Columbia
Academy.
School of Law.
Yeah. Well, that's the failed academy.
She
for her.
introduced and developed something, and you're going to have to explain this to me, intersectional theory. And even their definition doesn't do it for me. The study of how overlapping or intersecting social identities, particularly minority identities, relate to systems and structures of oppression, domination, or discrimination.
We talked about that on the show once, didn't we?
The Mysterians in the failed academy always use the word intersectionality, and I can't pretend to understand what they mean because I think it's just part of a failed academic agenda. It has created another word to describe another imagined source of oppression. And hell with Kimberly, or what's her name?
Kimberly with a funny spelling, Crenshaw.
Yeah, well, lady, I'm going with as little as I know. I know more about Kemi now than I know about Kimberly. I'm going with Kemi, and I don't buy critical race theory as far as I can throw it. I never have.
How about the fact that the piece we just heard from Barry, the term race traitor, meaning you've turned your back.
Well,
that is
because the
just-
Mysterians want you to behave in a certain way and stay in your own corral. They're the most oppressive people that have ever existed.
Right.
The hard left are the most oppressive people in the world.
Yep.
So, back up. So, people like her are referring to her as house N-words, a term from the slave days?
Yes.
Oh, boy.
Because she's her own thinker.
Or Uncle Tom's?
Yes,
Just because white people might agree with her?
exactly.
Oh.
She's violating the social construct that has been enforced for her.
Can you imagine? Well, never mind.
Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. I just thought it was,
I'll attach it to the show page today if people want to see it.
and I could listen to that voice all day long.
She does have a great
I like when
accent.
she says nonsense.
It's nonsense.
Nonsense.
Kimberly Crenshaw, Joe, coined the term intersectionality.
Right.
In her essay. Hold on tight. You got your seatbelt on?
Yep.
Demarginalizing the intersection of race and sex, a black feminist critique of anti-discrimination doctrine, feminist theory, and anti-racist politics.
See you on that.
Hey, honest to God, that doesn't mean anything. She's a failed academician. She's been allowed to flourish in a failed environment.
Yeah.
It means nothing.
Well, she's making money, and maybe that was her whole goal. You know what I'm
Well,
saying?
Yeah, honest to God.
We didn't play this though.
To me, when I heard it this morning, I thought, oh, I got to play this. It's a ray of hope.
Yep.
I have another one coming. This is Wednesday. I've got it all backwards.
Positive
day
Wednesday.
early.
Thursday's supposed to be so-called Ray of Hope Day, but we really have failed miserably in bringing that about, haven't we?
Yes, we have.
Well,
But
Mike was trying.
I've got one for you right after I tell you about Precision Garage Door.
Please.
I hope you put this number in your contacts. Everybody in GL needs a garage door guy. We got a new guy at home. We got a carpet guy.
Oh,
From now on,
okay.
he's the guy.
He's the guy.
Wait a minute. Who are we doing? Are we doing
The guy.
ads for
Carpets?
the Z thing?
No.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, we got a new guy. And from now on, he's the carpet guy.
You don't say.
Yeah.
Love that. Well, I'm available for an endorsement.
Well, you need a garage door guy, and that's
There we go.
Precision
That's where
Door
we're going.
MN. They serve western Wisconsin, the entire metro. They're fantastic. They do everything with your current operation, but if you need a new door, you can get a free garage door consultation with one of Precision's garage door designers. They have models for every budget, save energy, increase security, improve the aesthetics. It's just fantastic. They don't charge more for weekends. They keep you informed via text when they're on their way. They usually got all the right stuff in the trucks. They don't have to run back to the shop.
Yep.
Put this number in your contact, 612-263-6985. Or if you want to schedule your free on-site new door estimate or book an appointment online, it's Precision Door MN. That's one word, precisiondoormn.com.
guys are mean.
The Earth is not your mother. The Joe Souchere Show.
All right, GLers, on Monday I was talking about how wonderful you are for sending me all these Seafoam work stories regarding Deep Creek, but here it is Wednesday, and I haven't received one email yet. Last week, our buddy Josh, he's a truck driver, lives in Red Wing, listens every day, usually in the middle of the night. He uses Seafoam Deep Creek to revive his seed spreader that he uses to spread salt. Now, I thought that was a brilliant idea. And if I had a sidewalk and I had to do that sort of thing, that's what I would do. It works better than that GL coffee mug I use. And then we have Jason, who, wow, what a great idea. He needed to cook a carburetor. And instead of getting an ultrasonic cleaner for, $150, he drug out an old crock pot, filled it up with Greep creep? Yeah.
Yeah, what is that? Is that a new product?
And then put it on low overnight. And when it was done, that carburetor, I think it was from an old Oliver Super 88, that carburetor was brand new. Jason, that is a brilliant idea. That's what I want from you GLers. I'll give you the product, Deep Creep, and then you tell me how you use it. Let's do this together. That's how these ads should work. And the great thing about me giving you Deep Creep, it's right there on the shelf wherever you go. Auto parts store, your local Knack hardware store, Frats, yeah, sure, Home Depot, Fleet Farm, doesn't matter. You'll find it. Deep Creep, it's right there on the automotive aisle. And it's just another wonderful, wonderful product from our friends at Seafoam. We call it Deep Creep.
You're causing me to have a bit of a panic. I can't remember if I put Seafoam in the snowblower gas can. And there's gas in the can that's been sitting there all summer. You know what I'll do? Even if I didn't, I can add Seafoam as I fill the snowblower tank.
Yeah.
We're expected to get a shovelable.
Shovelable.
Yeah.
Shovelable.
Shovelable amount
How
of
about
snow.
plowable?
I got a ray of hope for our friends in Duluth. And boy, don't we all. Thank you. And aren't we all going to envy them? Duluth, this is from the American Experiment. It's a website worth checking every day. We learn, it's a Tom Stewart piece, Duluth may be in fourth place behind Minneapolis, St. Paul, and Rochester when it comes to population, but Duluth came in first by holding the line on property taxes next year. They're not raising them.
Really?
Yeah.
That is a ray of
While
hope.
other cities boosted their tax levies by up to 10%, Duluth City Council passed a budget that effectively means city property taxes will remain flat for the first time in 10 years, according to the Duluth News Tribune.
I wonder what brought this on.
This is just fantastic. The Duluth City Council unanimously approved an ordinance just past Monday night, that would boost the 2025 levy by 1.85%, an increase that should be almost fully covered by more than $789 grand in tax revenues to be generated by new construction the past year. Mayor Roger Reinert hailed the budget for holding tax growth to essentially zero for owners of existing local properties that have not appreciated significantly in value, a feat last accomplished in 2014. Wouldn't that be nice? And I have another ray of hope. What's wrong with me?
I don't know what's called. Where do we start?
I have to admit, I always thought, where is it? Here it is.
I got it.
Reavers, you worried?
No, I'm just. Maybe we should move that mic up a little bit.
Oh, then you'll yell at me for making a mic noise.
Okay, since we're talking about it, move that chair again so I don't have to look at my big fat face. Thank you.
Why don't you get a
No.
face?
Oh,
Why don't I just sit in front of it like this?
yeah, thank you.
Oh.
Perfect. No, not
Yeah,
perfect.
Kenny, where are your
Now it
hands?
looks like you have two heads.
Yeah.
And one of them's mine.
Hello.
Whose idea was
Anyway,
it to put
Duluth,
that?
how about those property taxes? What the hell is going on there? Bring the message down. Yeah. Did we do that one already?
Yeah, this is the second one.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Here we go. doing a
And-
show.
I always
Do the tell.
thought the bald eagle was America's national bird. Didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I assumed it was.
We all grew up thinking it's on
Yes.
our passports, it's on money, it's everywhere.
Everywhere.
I
Seals.
thought seals.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Well, it isn't. It's never been formally named.
Wow.
It is. There's a bill on Biden's desk. If he has time, I know he's busy.
Yeah.
If he has time, he could sign that into law before he leaves office. And there was a piece on this on the news last night, and my word, just as close. Well, I was going to say as close as South St. Paul. You don't even have to go that close. Just drive down Mississippi River Boulevard.
Yeah, but if you do go to Kaposia Park,
Oh.
we went down there to walk the dog.
It's amazing.
There were probably 100 bald eagles.
I made that drive last night leaving here. Very festive right now.
Can I ask you
at
something?
Yeah, it was
Can,
really
can I
cute.
ask you something?
It's really neat.
Knowing vaguely where you live,
2 for 1 at KOD.
going through South St. Paul is not really the way to your house.
Trying to get if you leave here at 4:30 in the afternoon and take the
Gross.
freeway, it's
Oh, my Lord.
you might as well
Ish.
walk home. It's so
Yeah.
bad.
They don't understand.
And 2 for
Chris.
1 at KOD.
The eagle is a symbol of American freedom, strength, and perseverance. But did you know it was never designated the official national bird?
That really shocks me. What is the bird?
It appears on the national seal, as you so cogently pointed
Yeah,
out.
I know my stuff.
But it's never. The legislation naming the bald eagle as the U.S. national bird passed Monday in the House. And the Senate, back in July, the bipartisan bill has been sent to President Biden for his signature. The bald eagle will join the rose as the national flower, the oak as the national tree. And what is our national mammal?
The cow.
Bison.
The bison.
Oh, dang.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So I'm happy because
call.
I'm very fond of eagles.
Yes.
I would love to know one personally, feed it and all
Right.
that. They're a raptor, aren't they? Wouldn't the eagle be considered
Yes.
a raptor?
I do believe so.
And this Nicosia Park in South St. Paul is
Kaposia.
Kaposia. That's just a strip of grass along the river, right?
There's some softball fields. There's some walkways. Yeah. It's
But
a nice
holy
place to live.
mackerel! On this news, I think it was CBS. I couldn't watch KSTP because the bleeping basketball game was on,
Yeah.
and they had film just hundreds of
Yeah,
them
there were.
flying around.
I don't think I took
Then you got Wabasha as your Eagle Center.
Yeah, I didn't take a picture. Oh, I've been there.
Isn't
I
that
know
where
you.
you filmed the?
You who dwell on the shelter of the Lord.
And then it just
We should repost that, talking
Yeah.
about
Such.
eagles. I try to get that to you.
Weren't you taught? I distinctly remember being taught that Benjamin Franklin wanted the turkey to be the national bird.
yes,
And
that-
there was a big heated debate, and the eagle won. And now you're telling me it hasn't been the national
the
bird?
turkey thing is ringing a distant bell.
That's the first thing I thought of when you said that, Joe.
What?
I thought it was the turkey was the national bird.
That's what Ben wanted it to be.
Well, it's
Joe, have you heard about the bird?
yes, I have.
I'm
just-
everybody heard about the bird.
Settle him down.
Really?
We
I just had a heart
I
attack.
hate to turn to bad news, but as I
you
look
love
here,
it.
I could read this as the last bit of. Well, it's not even good news, but it's very very apt for what we've been discussing. Is from Matt. I had to laugh, he says.
I had to laugh.
Joe, I had to laugh yesterday when the group was trying to understand how our Minnesota government staffers could mindlessly rubber stamp the ridiculous payments to the food fraud and now autism/tutoring program recipients. You mentioned something to the effect of, how can Susie sit in her cube and not question this, and why isn't her supervisor paying attention? Several flawed assumptions likely in that statement. Number one, the staff is coming to the office for work where they can be supervised. I've assumed that. As we know, much of the government staff has not returned to the office for work. So Susie is likely sitting at her kitchen table fulfilling the minimum level of work she thinks will allow her to keep her job while also multitasking their chores and or Netflix binging desires. Number 2, if form holds true, the work standards for Susie's job, that is, how much is she supposed to get done and what's involved, are either not documented or measured, and if they are, the standards are set so low as to be laughable. The outcome of that is the average Susie or Bill probably sees 1 or 2 of these requests for payments every once in a while also distracted by the latest must-see Netflix show streaming on her computer. So she doesn't link the fact that, wait a minute, how can Pelican Rapids be feeding 2,000 people daily? Number 3, the supervisors see preventing fraud as part of their responsibility. I'd bet Kenny's beard that they are simply focused on getting the paper processed per the weak standards, WEAK, that have been set and heading out to golf or ice fish, maybe helping Kenny's neighbor move the latest dead animal to the end of the driveway. Clearly, Walls doesn't see it as his responsibility, so why should anyone down the chain, all the way to Susie, see it as their responsibility? Until there are personal consequences explicitly assigned for gross negligence, Susie is going to do the barest of minimums. I would dearly love to see a report that shows how frequently each remote government worker signs onto their computer. I bet there are days that go by where they don't sign on, and when they do, they attempt to jam as much through as quickly as possible to get back examining the lint in their navels. If the legislature doesn't care enough to document hard requirements for accountability into these spending bills and the individuals face no consequences, there will be no change and more fraud will happen. On that note, and back to the center of the American experiment, this is, who did this? Bill Glahn. Are you ready? This is...
It's a whopper.
This is a whopper.
We
It's
gotta run
very,
through it.
very disturbing. Selected Minnesota Fraud Waste Case Tracker, 2019 to 2024.
Very
What
quiet.
is the total in fraud money wasted? Taxpayer money out the door.
Should we play closest to the pin?
We can,
Without
and
going
this is
over?
between 2019 and 2024. This is the Walls
2019,
tenure.
2024. All right.
Closest to the pin wins my fondest personal regards.
I'm going to guess.
This is 5 years. This includes Feeding
Food
Our
fraud.
Future, child care assistance, frontline workers bonus pay, provider overpayments, Evergreen Recover, Medicaid, unemployment benefits, Medicaid, unemployment benefits, SNAP, Medicaid for EIDBI autism, Medicaid, Futuristic Management Group, and others. What have we squandered under the laughable Tim Walz administration since 2019?
Boy. Let's see.
Closest to the pin.
Food fraud was $250. Medicaid was about $100.
I'm going to go 600 million.
That's, you know what, Johnny? That's funny. That's almost exactly what I was going to guess.
And that figure was what, John Height?
600 million.
Anyone else?
I'm going to go 601. Price is right.
Price is
going
right, yep.
1.3 billion.
1.3 billion. Wow. Kenny?
I know, so I'm recusing.
Good, then guess and win.
Excusing.
Ladies and gentlemen,
recusing.
since Walz took office, $543,097,460.
That was a little high.
John and Reavers were on the right track
I overshot the
at
green.
600 million. You were a little optimistic,
I
weren't
know,
you?
I know.
Yeah.
If I were to guess and didn't know, I would have said $5 billion. Seriously.
That makes me feel better. Thank
So
you.
you're not, yeah.
Appreciate that. Nux out. No? Okay, thanks.
Feeding Our Future leads the way. That was 250 million.
That's just...
Child Care Assistance Program was 100 million. Frontline Workers Bonus Pay, which got all fouled up,
Yeah.
that was 45,544,000.
Jeez.
Provider overpayments, 40 million. I don't know what Evergreen Recovery was. John, could you help me? Evergreen Recovery.
Oh, that was the... because we talked about it. Hang on.
Addiction Treatment
Yes,
Center
thank you.
in St. Paul.
And what ended up being fraudulent?
Feds launch investigation to the interviewed agents from both the inspector generals. Latest allegations say federal authorities are investigating the nonprofit.
Well, that was $28 million.
Jeez.
And Star
'Cause wasn't-
Tribune, you
sorry.
got to take notice of this because you can't keep passing Walz off as a national figure in politics. The guy is an utter disaster. And if you had any balls, you'd start writing that.
Because wasn't that the addiction thing, Johnny? Because I remember that story coming up on the show. Wasn't that also kind of under the umbrella of the homeless efforts that we were trying to make?
Probably.
I'm not seeing that as part of the story, but I wouldn't doubt it. Huh?
And do I have time? Yes, I do. To quickly, also from the American Experiment, also from Bill Glahn, there's a really curious Seattle-Minneapolis fraud connection. It was observed in the earliest days of the food scandal in 2022 that many figures named had made campaign contributions to prominent Minneapolis and Minnesota Democratic politicians. It was also observed that many of these same figures had donated to an otherwise obscure and ultimately unsuccessful Washington State Democratic candidate. In her 2022 campaign for Washington State Representative and an earlier run for office, Shukri Olo received campaign contributions from at least 10 individuals who would later be indicted in Minnesota or their spouses in the food scandal. In addition, Olau received direct campaign contributions from 2 private corporations based in Minnesota, a practice not allowed in Minnesota politics. Smart Therapy Center LLC of Minneapolis gave $300 to Olau in October of 2022. That was one of 2 autism clinics raided yesterday by the FBI in an investigation. Raided last week. By the FBI in an investigation linked to the food scandal. The other contributing business was a home health care company based in Minneapolis. You will recall that Layden Ali, the bag woman in the unrelated Feeding Our Future jury bribery case, was recruited out of Seattle.
That's right.
Ali has pled guilty in the bribery case. Back in Minnesota, Walsey declares that he is angry about the most recent revelations regarding state program fraud. In an interview yesterday, late last week, with the Minneapolis Star Tribune, that's when they put on the cover how great Walz is, when above the fold was the newest fraud.
Right.
Yeah.
I forgot about the angle 2 of the recruitment. Remember?
Yeah.
Because it's almost like PJ Fleck looking for a quarterback. We got to go to Seattle and find a bag lady.
In an interview yesterday with the Star Tribune meeting last week, Walz said that you've got to increase the penalty on these crimes. These are crimes against children, in my opinion. What do you care about children? You've created the best anti-children state in the history of the free world. After 6 years of looking the other way as the state treasury was looted, Walz says he's now going to get tough on welfare fraud. The DFL governor said he's fed up with fraudsters who are bilking programs meant to serve children in need. Well,
we don't know.
Well, as Glahn notes in his final paragraph, the governor could have proposed this legislation and stiffer penalties for fraud at any point since he took office in January 2019. You may have seen my scandal tracker spreadsheet, where I document more than 24 fraud and related scandals under his watch. The running total is now over $540 million. We just went through it. It's just an amazing. We are governed in the most porous fashion that this state has ever been governed.
We're not serious, are we, Joe?
We're not. No, yes, we are, because we got old Satan to rely on. Old Beelzebub and Lucifer.
Hey,
Come on down.
Patched her up.
Yeah, we're in great shape. It's a hell of a state.
Give me that figure one more time, Joe, because that's up from what Bill reported in August. I want to compare these 2 numbers.
$543,097,460.
Congratulations to us.
Yep.
Because according to Bill, August 4th, 2024, it was only $430 million.
All right.
So go
Okay,
us.
okay.
Yay us.
Well,
Yeah.
we've come up with a lot of new autism money, though. We've come up with a lot.
Is
of
that
new
seriously? Is
autism
that the
money.
difference? Is the autism money?
Yes.
Wow.
And is your phone nearby, Joe? Because I just emailed you something that I'd like to read. It's from a piece I discovered in the American Experiment,
Yeah, I got a phone.
written by John Palin.
Did you email
Phelan?
it to me?
I did. GL Joe.
Let's see if I got it, Kenny.
If you don't have it,
I do
can,
have it, Kenny.
Okay.
it,
Scroll
Kenny?
down to the second paragraph of the item I emailed to you there.
Want me to read it?
Yeah, please.
The recent case of Representative Biana Vermig, DFL, exemplifies. She got Minnesota taxpayers, that's you, to pay her legal fees in a. I meant to bring this up when this was happening last week. To pay her legal fees in a private workplace dispute, a dispute which saw her pocket a payout of
Hold on now.
$108,224.54. This was all legal. All 9 DFL members of the House Rules Committee voted to approve the payment. You paid so that she could get paid privately.
That
We-
third rail.
This is outrage.
How about that third rail?
This is outrage.
I think it's outrageous, Chris, is what you're trying to
No,
say.
remember the line? This is outrage.
This is outrage.
He are a snake.
They are a snake.
I don't want to pay these people anymore. The citizens of this state need a tax revolt, and I'm serious. This is ridiculous.
This is what Elon and Vivek will take care of.
Well, what I'm seeing here is we all rely and we love the AmericanExperiment.org. But what they can do for a guy is they can take your Positive Wednesday and they can turn it around right away. Just bam.
just
like
ruined
that.
it. Just
Yeah.
completely blew it out
Thanks,
of the water.
Bill. Thank you.
Completely blew it out of the water.
But could you imagine if they weren't around, Ken? Well, I don't disagree with you.
No, yeah.
They're the
right.
only ones covering
No, I'm
this
not.
stuff.
I'm not ripping them. It's just fun.
Remember how positive I used to be?
Oh,
I'm better now.
As you sit there sighing, let's back up to the bald eagle, not the national bird, but actually the national symbol,
Yeah.
and was selected June 20th, 1782.
All right.
So that's our confusion.
Very good. Thank you. Take a break. Come back with Johnny.
You look like you could cool down with an ice
I'm
cold
fine.
glass of water.
I'm great.
It's gotta
I
be
just-
crystal
I'm
clear,
broke. I'm broke, but I'm great.
Okay, well, before you decide to pack it in, Joe, how about I recommend my friends at Hofferman Water and Connecticut? Listen, this is the time of the year to give yourself the gift of the best water around.
The season.
It is the season for treating yourself to wonderful water.
Tis the season.
Courtesy of Hofferman Water and Connecticut. And right now, you can get up to 15% or more off a whole home water treatment system. Courtesy of Hofferman Water and Connecticut. The first step, though, is you got to get on that schedule and have them come out for that free water analysis. So what you got to do, pick up that phone and dial 612-895-2440 or go to their website, which is HoffermanWater.com. Either way, you can book that appointment and have them come out to give you that water score with that free water analysis. I did that a number of years ago, and I'm really glad that I did because Hofferman Water and Connecticut have made an amazing difference in the quality of my water, and I know that they will do the same for you. So once again, dial 612-895-2440 or just visit HoffermanWater.com. And when you're on the website, by the way, you can see every single system that they have to offer, whether it's a drinking water system or a brand new water softener. They will take care of you. And that's because Hofferman Water has been proudly serving the state of Minnesota for over 50 years. Please do me a favor and mention that you heard about them right here on the Garage Logic podcast.
tap it, hit that thing.
It's the end of the world as we know it. Joe Souchere.
Like that one?
Yeah. Oh, here's John Haidt.
Jesus! Wait a minute. Now you're getting this just because you did that.
I just farted.
Hey, Julia.
Here's John Haidt.
Why, thank you, Joe. Excuse me, I'm giggling, so I'm going to move stories around here again. From the Pioneer Press, for the second time in 2 years, the city of St. Paul has given the green light to a new Division I sports stadium at the University of St. Thomas.
Why?
Under legal pressure from neighborhood residents to double-check its math, the city recently published findings that the 4,000 to 5,500-seat Lee and Penny Anderson Arena, Division I basketball and hockey arena already under construction, will not require deeper environmental review through an intensive process known as an environmental impact statement. The arena is to be located at Grand and Cretin Avenues. After a comment period, the city's latest determination was made official yesterday in the Minnesota Environmental Quality Board Monitor. It said the city of St. Paul has made a negative declaration and does not require the preparation of an environmental impact statement for this project. This, we've talked about this before, this is the second time the city has found an EIS study is unnecessary based on the lengthy but less elaborate environmental assessment worksheet prepared for the 6-acre site by planning and engineering firm Kimley Horn. St. Paul initially accepted the findings of the original EAW published in June of 2023, but neighborhood residents took their objections to court, calling the documents incomplete. The advocates for responsible development have attempted to slow or block arena construction through a variety of means. Among them, they argue the appeals court decision should have invalidated any building permits and halted construction, which was continued despite their attempts to seek a legal injunction. Bryce Butzer is a spokesperson for the university. He said, "We're looking at opening in the fall of 2025, which has pretty much been our plan all along."
Well, here's where they blew it. They trusted the law. What they needed to do was get over there when they first caught wind of the idea that such a building could be established. They needed to go over there with a few old pieces of wood they could have got from their garage, buried it, then made a big show of digging it up and claim it was the remnants of a transgendered Native American poet. And that would have been a shrine. That would have been a shrine. It would have been untouchable. And for good measure, they could have thrown in some endangered moth, anything, a frog, something. And the ground would never have been touched. I'm deadly serious. If you could have proven that was the log hut of transgendered member of the Metawankton Sioux who was noted for poetry inscribed in trees, that land would have never been touched. Instead, what did they do? They trusted the law.
So you're saying this as though you're against the arena?
I have no horse in the race. My official position is I certainly understand the residents' concerns about parking. Beyond that, I have no horse in the race.
They're taking it well, is what you're going to say.
They haven't taken it well. They have not. But they blew it. They had their chance. Using modern cultural psyops, they could have created a whole deal there, and they didn't do it.
But again, it's on school property.
Right.
So,
and the school was there before.
Long before.
Houses.
Yeah, long before.
Let's put it this way. I don't think the school ever really had any worry about this because the whole time the thing was in court, it's damn near done.
Right. They didn't stop the construction.
They just kept building.
Minnesota Representative Angie.
Wait, John. Wait, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. There's been cranes in there for 2 years. They've been slapping bricks together. As this thing goes through court, there's not a chance in hell it was ever going to get defeated.
I thought they were still in the planning
God, no. They've been building it. It's damn near ready to open.
I think every time we've had a story on it, Kenny, the tagline of the story has been construction continues as the case moves
it's
forward.
It's never paused.
Life in the country is very idyllic, and when you guys start complaining about your local issues down there, I just kind of drift off.
Watching TV movies.
Well, and it's also a big part of that is because they didn't want to lose the funding, the school, meaning, right?
Well, it's Lee Anderson comes through again for him.
That's what I'm saying. They didn't want to lose that.
Well, I don't know that would have. I mean, for all I know, Lee would have put up a building at a different location.
Oh.
I don't know.
You know what? Driving around those two cities on the city streets, it's a real rage generator. You go in calm and laid back, and by the time you get out of the city streets and back on the freeway, you're so filled with rage that you want to just run everybody off the highway.
I go to a meeting once in a while where I'm taught to, you can't, you really got to marshal your anger about all things. And I just constantly tell my superiors at these events that, look, I'm not counting traffic. That's off the books. I'm staying.
Untouchable.
I get to go crazy in traffic.
Joe, explain this. The speed limit is 25.
And people actually go it.
What the actual hell?
Yeah, well, that's for pedestrians and bicyclists.
You know,
None of whom are on the streets at this temperature.
normally when I drive in every day, gentlemen, I am filled with rage. But today I got to use the carpool lane because I had a co-pilot.
Oh,
Did you have a dummy?
Yeah.
Hey, I'll be at your house at 9 a.m.
You were driving, man?
He stored a car with you.
Yeah, he sure did. But he came, but I got to use the carpool lane. He says he saw the stop
Do you have
traffic.
a 3-car garage?
Yes, sir. And he saw the stop traffic, and he looks. He said, "Boy, a guy sure could get angry riding in that every single day."
I've been told by commuters that have been doing it a long time that it's way cheaper to pay the fine when you're caught than it is to buy
the min pass. Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I'm not endorsing that. That's what I've been told.
Thank you for the tip.
Minnesota Representative Angie Craig elected yesterday as the ranking member of the House Agriculture Committee, beating out 2 more senior members for that role. The victory for Craig makes Representative David Scott the latest in a string of older members of the Democratic Party being pushed out by younger Democratic colleagues. The 79-year-old Scott has faced long-standing health challenges, and that prompted Craig, who's 52, and Representative Jim Costa, who's 72, to challenge him. Scott dropped out of the race after the House Democratic Steering and Policy Committee voted to recommend Craig for the role. Craig said that part of her pitch to her colleagues centered on needing to do what she called a better job of winning the hearts and minds of rural communities. Craig also said that as ranking member of the Ag Committee, she will extend a hand to look for compromises. But she said when the policies are not good for American people, when they're not good for Minnesotans, I'll call them out, and we'll have to be able to explain that to them. A man with a long criminal rap sheet is admitted to taking part in robbing letter carriers in Edina and Brooklyn Center of their work keys at gunpoint. 27-year-old Reuben Adams pleaded guilty in U.S. District Court in St. Paul yesterday to 2 counts of armed robbery in connection with those holdups on back-to-back days in November of 2023. Federal guidelines call for Adams to get a sentence ranging from slightly more than 9 years to 11.5 years in prison, but federal judges have full discretion when sentencing defendants are not bound by guidelines calculations. Adams remains jailed ahead of sentencing, which has yet to be scheduled. U.S. Postal Service keys are not only valuable for stealing money, checks, and financial transaction cards out of mailboxes, but they can also be sold for great amounts of money to other people, according to federal officials. Postal carrier robberies climbed to 643 last year, an increase of nearly 30%, and the number of robberies resulting in injuries doubled to 61 last year, according to U.S. Postal Inspection Service members.
I have a dumb, probably naive question.
Yes, sir.
So you break into a mailbox, and you discover among your spoils that you've got Jim Smith's paycheck from the Acme Nut and Bolt Company, and it's for $950. Well, you can't cash it.
Right.
So what was the point?
Well, some will attempt to forge the signature or whatever, but you're right.
Yeah, but
In
you'd
most
still
cases,
need
an
Patrick
ID.
Nelson's ID, right?
Yeah.
You can't go to Cash Check or whatever the place is called.
But you're making the assumption that these people care. They'll just tear it up and throw it away.
Well, then why did they steal it?
Because they're looking for cash or other things.
Nobody sends cash through the mail.
They also can be looking, there may be documents that have your social security number or a credit card number.
So identity theft.
Right.
Yeah, that you can end up gaining.
Joe,
money
these
from.
people aren't bright. That's the other thing.
They're not moral either.
No. We remember the guy with the TV you were talking about this morning.
Oh, I saw a great video of a guy who had a damaged big screen TV. It was all beat to hell, and he got a new one.
Yeah.
But he wrapped up the old one in a cardboard box there
I
on the
saw
front
that.
porch.
Yes.
Sure enough, it was stolen.
Thanks for taking my old TV.
Yeah.
Such a good idea.
Yeah, it really is a good idea.
That guy's a GLer.
The Holidazzle Festival opens in downtown Minneapolis today, coming back after a year off due to what organizers said were financial reasons. This year's event runs through Sunday along Nicollet Mall. There will be live entertainment, shopping, and holiday lights. However, there will not be a parade. An opening ceremony is set for 4:15 today at the corner of 9th Street and Nicollet Avenue. If you'd like to see a list of the things going on, just go to the website of our TV friends at 5 Eyewitness News. That's KSTP.com. Click on the story about Holidazzle, and there's a link to all scheduled activities. Why don't we take a quick break here? We'll come back with some national and international news after this.
The Earth is not your mother. The Joe Souchere Show.
Never heard this song before.
Remember the chat we had?
Oh, that's right.
A couple
Very
days
Christmassy. Very Christmassy. Speaking of Christmassy.
Oh, stop, Rook. I'm sorry.
Oh, don't be.
Does that mean we can't play the Charlie Brown music this year?
We cannot.
Oh, shoot. Go ahead, Rook.
Christmas time
Rook.
is here.
Rook.
Christmas time is here. Not the season, but it could be the reason that you want to save money and give gifts. Is that confusing
That's
enough?
fine. That's
Sounds
wonderful.
good to me.
Wonderful.
Then the Garage Logic Holiday Online Auction, which is open right now to you garage logicians, by going to garagelogic.com, punching in keyword auction, registering, and then you can see and bid on the items. Bidding is right now, it's live, and it runs less than a week now, ending Thursday, December 19th. Over 60 grand in items are up for auction. And as I told you, there's some really good things. The golf lesson, a 10-hour pass from Swing Lab, one-night stay at the Intercontinental Hotel at MSP Airport, all-inclusive spa package at the Buffalo Ridge Resort and Spa in South Dakota, And, of course, that free education with the certificate program at the Institute for Non-Destructive Testing. There's so much more to bid on, so check it out. You might be the winner of the Ultimate Golf Package at Deer Run Golf Course. Once again, 70% off your holiday shopping. That's probably what you're going to save. A visit to GarageLogic.com. Keyword auction, view, and bid, and you will be sitting pretty for Christmas.
Were you serious, Clark, when you told me that I'm not eligible?
You are not.
You are
I'm not.
eligible.
Seriously, that's
You're not-
true.
You are not eligible.
Shoot. Go ahead, Johnny.
No.
And less than a week is tomorrow, by the way.
Yep, there you go.
Less than a week.
Oh.
Exit stage left. Cold read.
In other news, the man suspected of killing United Healthcare CEO has now been indicted for first-degree murder as an act of terrorism. 26-year-old Luigi Mangione faces 1 count of first-degree murder, 2 counts of second-degree murder, 2 counts of second-degree criminal weapon possession, 4 counts of third-degree criminal weapon possession, 1 count of fourth-degree criminal weapon possession, and 1 count of second-degree criminal possession of a forged weapon. Several of the counts have been modified to specify an act of terrorism. Under New York law, such a charge can be brought when an alleged crime is intended to intimidate or coerce a civilian population, influence the policies of a unit of government by intimidation or coercion, and affect the conduct of a unit of government by murder, assassination, or kidnapping. Mangione faces a maximum sentence of life in prison without the possibility of parole for the fatal shooting of 50-year-old Brian Thompson outside a New York City hotel earlier this month. A budget deal agreed upon by congressional leaders is being attacked by conservatives as too much waste being approved in too little time. A deal was cut yesterday to pass what's known as a continuing resolution to keep the government funded through March 14th. In theory, Congress is supposed to pass that budget by October 1st, but in practice, it uses a series of stopgap bills to operate the government while Congress hashes out a final budget. The current stopgap bill expires on Friday. Republican Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky was among those saying the agreement is a disaster for fiscal restraint. He was not kind to the Speaker of the House, his fellow Republican Mike Johnson, saying on X, "I'd hope to see Speaker Johnson grow a spine. But this bill full of pork shows he's a weak, weak man." Republican Senator Mike Lee of Utah noted that many who support President-elect Trump's Department of Government Efficiency failed to translate that public support into action when they should have done so. Paul said he might not be on board with the timetable to zip through procedural steps and pass the budget by Friday, according to The Hill. Legal experts aren't giving it much of a chance, but Donald Trump is now suing Ann Seltzer. Her polling firm, the Des Moines Register, and the newspaper's parent company, Gannett, accusing them of consumer fraud, according to a copy of the filing reviewed. The suit filed Monday night in Polk County, Iowa, says it seeks accountability for brazen election interference over a November 2nd poll that showed Kamala Harris up by 3 percentage points in Iowa. Trump easily won that state by double digits, a difference his lawyers argue in the suit constitutes election interfering fiction. Trump is making the claim under the Iowa Consumer Fraud Act, which prohibits deceptive advertising.
Unacceptable. It's just an outrageous stunt by Trump. You'd have to believe that they purposely lied about the poll. Maybe they did. I don't know. I give up. I don't trust anybody anymore, but I'm betting they didn't.
Multiple news sources.
And then,
furthermore.
And then?
Well, then you got to sue all pollsters because it's all BS then.
He is going after a lot of people right now, is he not, John?
He is. In fact, the ABC News thing apparently started a deluge, and everybody's angry.
Oh, I'm glad that little twerp Stephanopoulos got fined.
And
that was 15 mil.
He didn't get fined. That was an agreement.
Does he have to pay it, or does ABC?
ABC does, and most of the legal folks are very angry with ABC because they're saying that they never should have agreed to that. They probably would not have lost the case.
Because doesn't the settlement just infer guilt? I mean, basically.
Yeah, and they're saying basically, ABC's just bowing down.
But he used the word rape, and it was sexual assault.
Correct. There's a very in California.
Boy, that's a thin line, isn't it?
There is. I could be very graphic and describe to you what the line is, but I won't.
Please don't.
Yeah, but I just think about it.
Does it involve insertion?
No, I got it.
It does.
Okay,
of,
Joe.
Of
All right.
a different thing. Sexual
Sure.
assault is a different thing.
So long, Positive Wednesday.
Yes.
Yeah, that went out the window
I
when
was
we
saying,
got the
that was
phone.
gone a while ago.
But okay, in an attempt to be devil's advocate,
There is none.
No, but is the reason for him quote unquote going after is because if this was case one and they settled, then isn't there probably more to be?
Well, he's going to insist there is. Yeah.
Okay.
If he loses them all, he's going to keep doing it. It doesn't really matter. It's just like going after the election in 2020. 60
Would
cases.
you? Would you go after people if falsehoods were published?
What's the falsehood?
I'm talking to Such, John. I'm not putting you under the microscope here.
I don't know. I suppose if I was accused of sexual assault and they said I was a rapist, I might do something about it.
But the pollster thing, you'd let it slide.
I
The polls.
absolutely.
Yeah. All right.
Because then what's to stop him from saying that I didn't like the way a certain news story was written?
And
go bleep yourself, Trump.
Pardon me for being naive. As a public figure, don't you just have to accept that people are going to talk S about you?
Absolutely. But in fairness to Trump, he was targeted in many different ways over the years.
Certainly.
A normal politician, A, is not going to be targeted that often, and B, understands that the game includes being taken a shot at it once in a while, not a gunshot.
Well, that's happened too.
We knew what you meant. Yeah.
A verbal swipe.
Right. That happened.
Right.
That's part of the game. But he doesn't accept that as part of the game.
It is fascinating to see comments on stories like this online.
Mm-hmm.
It's just fascinating. It's the best way I don't know to see the levels of both vitriol on both sides.
If you thought I had a positive vibe going, wait till you hear what I have after John's news.
Positive or negative?
Negative.
But commenting on what John just said, I thought it would calm down a little bit after the election.
God, no.
But, oh, my Lord, no. It's,
No, he's
if
in the
anything,
catbird seat.
Yeah, if anything, it's amped up.
I never knew what that meant, the catbird seat.
What does it mean?
That's where
does
the
it
cat
mean?
gets right up there on the stool, and the bird's inside the cage, and it's on that little swing, a little perch, and the cat's got a wonderful view, but
If
it still
you're-
can't get the bird.
In my
buy
world,
that.
in the
I just
racing
made it up.
world, if they're going to take the top three finishers in a heat race, the third place guy is in the catbird seat. The fourth guy is trying to pass him.
Look it up, Brooke, instead of
that's
looking
the
at
way
your
I hear it
bleeping
referenced.
phone.
I got it. I got it.
I'm not
The catbird seat is a phrase used to describe an enviable position, often in terms of having the upper hand or greater advantage in any type of dealing among parties. It derives from the secluded perch on which the gray catbird makes mocking calls.
Oh, there's an
There it
actual
is.
catbird.
Oh, there's a bird called a catbird.
Yeah, not an actual cat. Ruck.
So, and that's
Interesting. I thought
different
it was
from the
fine.
person on
Right
Twitter
on.
who's called Cat Turd.
right, cat turd's
Yes.
different.
That's a whole different deal.
The gray catbird was used in the 19th century in the American South, Joe.
I see.
I've never heard of the gray catbird, but that's interesting. One other appointment that we hadn't heard about by the president-elect, Herschel Walker, has been selected to be.
What's Herschel going to do?
Oh, you haven't heard?
No, I guess I
Oh, you're
missed
gonna
it.
love this.
Oh, this is good.
United States Ambassador to the Bahamas.
Sweet.
What a
What a
gig.
gig.
What a gig.
Wow.
That is so good.
In a social
But
media
Herschel
post,
must speak in the third person at all
absolutely.
times.
Herschel loves
Herschel
the
at
Bahamas.
beach.
Herschel will do.
Herschel will be on the sand.
In a social media post,
Herschel needs another drink.
the president-elect described Walker as a successful businessman, philanthropist, and a former Heisman
No,
Trophy
he
winner.
isn't. He might be a former Heisman Trophy winner, but all the rest of it's BS.
Walker has no political or diplomatic experience and no obvious ties to the Bahamas, an island of almost 400,000 people whose main economic resources come from tourism.
Herschel is here.
I had a thought, but it
Didn't
got
he
stuck
almost
in my
die
neck.
here? What was the story? He was in his car, and the car was running? Hey, Pat, how did Herschel walk? Wasn't he found in his car with the car running when he was a Viking? Yeah, he was with the Vikings, and you could look it up.
I'm going to do it right now.
Yeah, go
We're
ahead,
already
John.
doing it.
Ukraine has unveiled a cutting-edge Trident laser weapon.
Ooh,
After- laser. After the UK said earlier this year it would be sharing its prototype with Kyiv. Colonel Vadim Sukharevsky, the commander of Ukraine's unmanned systems forces, says the laser would be capable, I forgot to do it, said the laser would be capable of downing aircraft at distances of more than 2 kilometers. He said at the European Defense Industry Conference, it really works and it really exists. They say they hope to get it into service by 2027. So we're talking about it.
May
3-year
8th
wait.
of 1991, Herschel Walker told the newspaper yesterday that he was suffering no after effects from carbon monoxide poisoning he sustained while sitting in his car.
God, my memory's good.
Why? Yeah, that's
Yeah. Well, that gave rise to a lot of doubts about his mental acuity.
Well, he
He
has
said
been
it was
very,
not suicide.
He has been very outspoken, right, about mental health and things like that.
I don't know.
I thought so.
Say you just had that laser. Did you see where the Ukrainians nailed that top Russian general? They pulled
Yeah.
a bomb in
Yeah.
a scooter.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
happens if you don't go to EcoFun.
Wow. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
They've changed tactics up there.
Yeah.
You hear that, Tim? Merry Christmas.
Well, they got a general, a top guy, and they just blew the crap out of him
Yeah.
and he was getting on a scooter.
But what if those are the same drones that are flying over New Jersey?
Chris,
Come on now.
Yes,
Joe.
you really need some help.
No.
A scooter and a bomb have nothing to do with a drone.
But that's how that's how they were guided, was by drones, the scooters. Didn't you
was?
read the story?
I guess not as
Okay.
thoroughly as you did.
Boy, there's some turnaround there. Chris read an actual story, not
See,
just
why
the
do I
headline.
gotta get ripped for reading the story?
I thought the Ukrainians were there in person and they
Look,
just snuck
look,
up and put the
you
bomb in the
morons.
scooter.
That's what I thought.
You
too.
morons, shut up for a second.
Okay.
If one of you who had the money had any common sense, he'd race up to Tim's place right now, get one of those brand new, and I said get one of those brand new Yamaha snowmobiles with 0 miles on that
You
thing.
said this yesterday, Mr. Alzheimer.
Haul it the hell home. Stash
You
it
did this
away.
yesterday.
This is a great idea. I'm going to say it every day until
Why don't
you
you
actually
do it?
do it. I don't have that kind of money.
I'm
You
thinking
do.
I might do it.
Yeah.
Kind of
You know,
cash.
Yeah.
I hate to keep interrupting the ad. I'm not sure where you saw
They're
it.
not.
Chris,
They're
'cause
not even on today. I just was thinking
I
of
see.
them when I saw
Oh,
the scooter.
it's not even an ad?
No,
oh, I
so you
take
can
it all
stop
back.
now.
Forget
I
it.
hadn't even seen that, and now I'm reading a story that says they've arrested a guy, and the guy actually just showed up and planted the bomb in the
That's what I
scooter.
said. Where do you get this drone BS?
Because Mike and I talked about it yesterday on the Highly Rated Weekly Scramble. And it was
So?
Where did you see a story?
I'll try to
about
find the story, but that's what
this
Mike-
is the
Mike's the one
Ukraine
that brought
guy
it
that
up.
snuck in there and did the dirty work.
The suspect said he had come to Moscow at the orders of Ukraine's intelligence services, bought an electric scooter, received an improvised explosive device.
Yes.
He described placing the device on the electric scooter and parking it outside the apartment block where Kirilov lived.
Again,
Boom.
But it.
Boom.
I'm not going to try to explain it to you.
20
John,
years
thank you.
from now, that Yamaha is going to be worth $150,000.
Where have I heard that before?
I think he said it
Sounds
yesterday.
familiar. Yeah.
Tim, that was just extra. Hey, we'll be right back.
do it.
This guy wears many hats, just not indoors. Joe Souchere.
Surrender.
I've often said if you want something to worry about, there's plenty to worry about that's real, unlike worrying about the climate or what have you, or drones. Yeah, drones I'm not worried about. I told you I can get you a drone by 3 o'clock. It's the stuff that aren't drones that I want to know about. In any event, this is from Alpha News today. And this is, if you want to worry about something, this is seriously.
I do want to worry about something. I have a lot of worry in my life, but I'd like you to add to the list.
A poll,
please.
maybe it's a poll Trump would sue. A poll found 41% of adults younger than 30, 41% of adults younger than 30 say the murder of Brian Thompson was acceptable, while 40% say it's unacceptable.
Well, thank God for the 40%, but what is wrong with that 41%?
It's an Emerson College polling national survey found 68% of all voters consider the actions of the killer unacceptable. 17% found the actions acceptable, while 16% didn't have an
Unsure.
idea.
No
They were
opinion?
unsure.
No opinion.
Spencer Kimball, executive director of Emerson College Polling, said younger voters diverged from the majority on several issues, including Thompson's murder. While 68% of voters overall, it should have been 100%, while 68% of voters overall reject the killer's actions, younger voters and Democrats are more split. 41% of voters age 18 to 29 find the killer's actions acceptable. 40% of them unacceptable. 22% of Democrats find them acceptable, while 59% of Democrats find them unacceptable. This compares to 12% of Republicans and 16% of independents who found the actions acceptable, underscoring shifting societal attitudes among the youngest electorate and within party lines. So if you're young and you're a Democrat, you were more likely to condone the actions of Luigi the Dip.
Yeah, I don't even like to say his name.
Yeah. Isn't that sad? Isn't that
That's very
something?
telling.
That's just...
What is it telling, though?
It's telling that
There's no moral... The moral and ethical decline of the country is almost complete.
Is that... Are you going to... So that's a political thing to you. And if they were conservative,
What else
they
would it
wouldn't
be?
They wouldn't have that feeling?
Well, that's what the polling says, if you trust the
don't-
polls.
I don't know if I do.
Well, then you don't. That's
It's
fine.
22 to 12, though. I mean, it's not like it's, you know.
Oh,
I agree.
That's the total amount that have been polled?
22% Democrats find it acceptable. 12% of Republicans don't.
And other way around. 12%.
I mean,
12%
12% do, and 16% independents.
Oh, I see. I got you. Huh. Have they never experienced loss in their life? Do they not understand life and death?
If they have, apparently it has not impacted them.
Empathy?
That hasn't impacted them.
Wow.
The Lymans are on the move.
Where are they going now, sir?
The Lymans are on the move.
Where they go at now?
Well, where are we? Flagstaff.
Flagstaff's in Arizona.
Were they in Flagstaff yesterday?
I don't recall.
It's worth staying. It's the Grand Canyon.
I usually play rapt attention, but I can't recall yesterday.
I drove through a blizzard in Flagstaff back in March.
I like Flagstaff.
It's a great city.
Standing on the corner in
That's
Flagstaff,
Winslow, Arizona. But from Flagstaff, it's just a hop, skip, and a jump to Winslow.
About 3 hours.
Not even that. And there's a big crater hole there that for some reason did not hit the visitor
It's
center.
amazing.
Yeah, that's amazing.
How much do you have to pay to look at that hole in the
I
ground?
I recorded my efforts at that, and I was commenting on I'm paying a lot of money here to look at a hole in the ground. But amazingly, the meteor didn't hit the parking lot or the visitor center.
Is that the one that killed the dinosaurs, Joe?
I think
Joe,
so.
you're correct. It's 55 minutes.
Yep. I knew I
Flagstaff to
was, Chris,
Winslow.
but I didn't want to prolong it. On this day,
December 18th.
and these come to us all the way from the Traveling Lymans in Flagstaff, Arizona. On this day, Chris,
Yep.
what day is it?
December 18th.
In 1985, when it was very cold out, in a milestone in the history of health and medicine in Minnesota, Mary Lund was the first woman to receive a Jarvik 7 artificial heart in Minneapolis. That device kept her alive for a month until she received a real heart via transplant. And I wonder the same thing as I did yesterday. How long did Mary Lund last? Staff? Anyone?
Was it a month?
Anyone?
32 minutes.
Well, she lasted a month with the Jarvik 7.
Oh.
Then she got a real heart. I wonder how long she lasted. Maybe she's still alive. Staff? Anyone? Anyone?
I'm looking up recipes.
Mary Lund.
Mary
Yeah.
Lund.
Heart.
Heart. On this day.
Mary Lund is no longer with us.
All right.
I'm seeing her obituary posted on September 6th of 2024.
No, not
No,
her.
1986 she died, actually.
Oh, all right.
Well, and she didn't last long even with the new heart.
9 months after her Jarvik 7 pump
Shoot.
was replaced.
Sorry, Mary.
Well, Mary Lund, this person lived in Edina.
Chris, it's a very common name. It's a very common name.
Yeah, like Lunds and
Oh,
Byerly's.
God, help me. Even he's grumbling. He's out in the green room, and you can hear him
Mary
sighing.
Lund.
And finally, on this day,
A week before Christmas.
that's right.
She
December
was from
18th.
Kensington, Minnesota.
On this day in 1988, the Pillsbury Company announced that it had accepted a $5.7 billion buyout offer from the British food and liquor conglomerate Grand Metropolitan PLC.
Oh, in 88? Mm-hmm. What would that be worth today?
Even in 1988, that was a lot of money.
Yeah.
Wait, that didn't make
That
sense.
doesn't make
That
any
didn't
sense.
really make any sense.
0.7 billion.
No, that was a lot of money, even though it was long ago.
Okay, that didn't work
I
either.
don't know. That was
Worth.
that was almost $6 billion when $1 billion was something.
That would be worth.
There you go. Getting closer.
Holy cow. That can't be right.
I'm prepared to doubt whatever
Trillion.
you find.
Well, this is according to inflation calculator.
Yeah,
It would be worth 13.5 today.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing, too.
that's
so.
about right.
Should have held out.
Well, it's a long time ago,
Right.
Chris.
Is that it, Joe?
Thank you, GLers.
Joe.
And he's got
Joe.
something.
Yeah.
Something I want to inform the GLers
Oh,
after
yeah.
a short hiatus. I don't know, a tiny sabbatical, a brief stay in the broadcast professional Twitch farm.
Purgatory.
News from the Krabby Coffee Shop returns. First episode out January 8th, 2025. The new co-host of the Krabby Coffee Shop is Amy Daniels, a longtime friend and broadcast professional. And we have a doozy of a first guest scheduled, somebody that you certainly couldn't get here on GL or basically anybody else in this market. And we scored a hell of a guest.
Well, who is it?
We'll be announcing that at some point.
Oh, what a teaser.
Is this
Ebenezer
to be
teaser.
a once a week podcast?
Starting
Tuesday
out at
mornings.
once a week, if we don't kill each other, Amy and I, because we're good friends and
Yep.
constant enemies.
Yep.
We hope to at some point bump it up to 2 a week. We'll see how
right.
it goes.
Kenny,
Be
no
fun.
good radio program / podcast could have a duo work together and not want to kill each other over this length of time.
Amy has such a great voice. I recall once when we were still working in that area that I asked her, please, to just call me once a week and talk to me. But it never happened.
That's
We
creepy,
have
John.
wanted to do
I know.
something.
It was meant to be.
John, we've wanted to work together since I think we figured it was right around 2006 or 8 when we started talking about this. So really looking forward to
Quite a
it.
bit
And-
of planning went into this.
And we actually we already did a pilot episode just to see if there was chemistry, and oh my goodness, there was really good chemistry.
Nice.
Well, good. I look forward to it.
Yeah, I am too, which I can't believe.
I'm not really, but I'm saying that to be nice.
I know you are.
Yeah.
But
No, I actually am looking forward to it, and that'll be under the Garage Logic
yeah,
rubric.
Yeah, along with Chris's show and
wonderful.
Yeah.
And
Wonderful.
back issues of Table Talk with Rookie's Family, all the way back to
those-
2017.
When is the most
I think
recent
those got
episode?
lost.
Well,
We did the State Fair a year ago, I think.
actually, Joe, they're not lost. You can find them really easy. However, if you're looking for old episodes of Krabby Coffee Shop, good luck.
They are lost.
Yeah, they're not on the
All
website.
right, thank you very much.
Yeah.
So you can find that on the Garage Logic podcast platform, but you can also find the Garage Logic YouTube channel. Yeah, GL's got a YouTube channel, and you can watch the show each and every single day starting around noon, along with previous episodes and also video shorts, behind the scenes coverage. It's all there for you. We're right around 11,000 subscribers. So thanks to each and every single one of you that interacts with us on the Garage Logic YouTube channel. And this holiday season, why don't you give the gift of Garage Logic with a town council membership? You can find out and sign up right now at garagelogic.com. And don't forget to check out the Gumption County Gift Shop. It's at the website, garagelogic.com. Joe, will you give me a description quick? So